Hello everyone, welcome back to Shiny Brighter. My name is Nick. As you can see, my usual walking grounds are snow covered and it's a little difficult to walk out here, so bear with me if I'm slipping and sliding. As always, if you like the content that I'm providing, please comment, like, subscribe, and even if you don't like it, tell me why. I'm open to conversations and debate. We're here to learn from each other and grow and become better versions of ourselves. And that doesn't happen without talking. But today, we're on to the second in the series of a return to traditional values. And in the first video, I spoke about, the traditional family unit and the importance of starting with a strong, stable base. And what I want to get into now are some of the factors that have destabilized that base and some of the possible reasons why behind them. Again, my views, my perspectives, and my thoughts are my own. I'm not telling you that I'm right and you're wrong. I'm not telling you that mine is the only way and that you have to follow what I'm saying. I'm just offering my perspective in hopes that it helps somebody gain a new insight or, take a look from a different angle or just get something positive from it. The whole point of my channel is to help. So let's get going. So, I don't know how many of you watching will remember, the traditional values of the traditional family unit, but going back to TV examples, and of course, they're Hollywood versions of what it used to be like, and of course it was never that perfect or never that black and white, but the idea of what they were promoting is what I think is far healthier than what we have today. And I'm not judging anybody because I don't know anybody's circumstances. But at the same time, I'm going to tell you to think for yourself instead of listening to social media, which is poison in so many ways today. Not everywhere, because there's a lot of people trying to do good and trying to help. But my God, there's so much poison in the world right now. But let's start with social media itself. With social media, we are spoon-fed a constant line of negativity. And again, not all, but there is a very large portion coming through these days, spinning the narrative of what's in it for me. I, me, I want. That is not conducive to a healthy relationship, nor is it conducive to a healthy family dynamic. You have so many, again, I'm not pitting this on one sex or the other. I'm going to point out everybody. But you have so many women with the latest installment of the women's empowerment movement telling you, be a boss, babe, be a strong woman. You don't need a man. You can do anything he can do. He's got to be 6 feet tall, 6-figure salary. All this nonsense that really is limiting people to what they're looking for and what they think means success. And honestly, it's a pile of crap. And it's very self-centered and selfish behavior. And, it's on both sides. Don't get me wrong. I'm not singling out one or the other because everybody has accountability here. But the biggest thing I want you to ask yourself, because it's your life and you know you better than anyone else, why are you going to listen to some angry person that either has had a terrible experience in life, or, you know, maybe in many cases, you know, their childhood growing up was so toxic, and led them to their thoughts and their theories and everything. Why are you going to let that person tell you how to live your life? You know, and I say that, and I understand that I am, you know, giving you my perspective. And again, like I always say in my videos, if you watch me, I'm not telling you have to do what I say. I'm not telling you that you have to listen to me at all. I simply want to share positivity in hopes to make things better for everyone. But if you view me as being the same as, you know, the people that I'm talking about, then you're entitled to that opinion. And, you know, I won't try to challenge you on it. But if you are not a negative person by nature, and, you know, you don't have a disdain for the opposite sex, and you have, you know, your own set of values and beliefs about wanting to get married, wanting to have kids, or not, then why wouldn't you follow yourself? The stranger you watch on the internet doesn't know who you are. They don't know how you think or how you feel. In general, what it comes down to is the negative people that you see that are pushing these agendas to empower, quote unquote, you know, one way or the other, and to tell you that you don't need to be, you know, you don't need another person for whatever reason. Chances are they're telling you that because they're alone and they're so jaded that they don't see themselves finding happiness. So why should anybody else? So when you think of it in those terms, do you really want to follow that person's advice? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not judging that person because I don't know what hand life dealt them. And they could very well, you know, have had some really terrible things happen to them. And my heart goes out to them if that's the case. But oftentimes people see strife and difficulty as the universe trying to beat them down. And I get it. Believe me, I get it. You know, I've gone through those phases myself where I'm just like, what did I do wrong? What I eventually came to learn, and thank God that I did, is that they're not there to knock you down. They're lessons and tests to see if you learn them and see how strong you are to prevent you from repeating them. So if you touch the stove and the stove's hot, are you going to touch it again and risk burning yourself again? Or are you going to learn the lesson and be like, yeah, well, that was stupid the first time, I'm not doing it again? It's the same thing with situations that you come across in life. So you have social media, which is an enormous factor these days, unfortunately, because anybody can get on and tell you whatever they want. And so many people are susceptible for various reasons. You know, some people have no direction in life, or some people weren't raised with strong role models who taught them to value themselves. Some people are just lost. Some are young. Some are just naive, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but, you know, it's just a quality that some humans have. It's just being naive, unfortunately. And the sad thing is, instead of protecting those people, you get people who recognize it and try and take advantage and exploit them. Then we have socioeconomic issues. So this has been proposed as of late, and while I'm not sure if it was, an actual coordinated agenda or anything, or just something that somebody, kind of talked about and it gained momentum, between men and women, generally speaking, and not always, because everybody's not immune to it, but generally speaking, men tend to be more practical with purchases, and the financial repercussions of purchases. Meaning, if they decide, hey, I'm going to go and buy this new car, and my payments are going to go up $100 a month. Generally speaking, they're going to figure out a way to try and replace that $100 a month deficit so they can maintain the lifestyle. On the other hand, many women, not all, again, I'm not making general sweeping statements here, are more impulse buy oriented and give less thought to the repercussions afterwards because, they have a job, they have money coming in. So at some point, there was a shift where the family unit went from a husband working, a stable job, being the only source of income, and the wife staying home to raise kids and run the house. And, I'm not telling you that, again, this is the perfect model, but once, retailers started figuring out the spending patterns, somewhere along the line came the shift of telling women to be the boss babe and get into the workforce and, earn your own money, and, you shouldn't be reliant on your husband, and that empowered you to spend more money and make more impulse buys. Whether you agree with it or not, it's up to you. I can see the validity in it, excuse me. And yeah, I can, retailers want to make money. Why wouldn't they go after a group of people if they thought they could get more from it? So you've got those two factors. But then there's also other issues. So for a long time you had, people cheating. And during this particular time, it seemed to be more men than women. And it led to divorce rates going up, single mothers raising children, deadbeat dads not paying, and that was no good at all, obviously. And shame on any man or woman who runs out on their family. What kind of a person are you? Even if you have some deep-seated issues from childhood, man up or woman up and get help and work those issues out. Lean on your partner, talk to them, go to a therapist, whatever you need to do. You don't abandon your family. That's just wrong. And I'm not saying that everybody has the strength to do these things, but if you have a family, you got to try. So, infidelity obviously is a tough one, and that's on both sides. And, the driving force behind divorce rates these days, unfortunately, from the statistics that I've read, and again, I could be wrong, but what I'm reading is that women are responsible for 70% of the divorce rate today. And, you know, it's not even within the first few years. It's women that have been married for 20, 30, 40 years. And, you know, this whole women's empowerment movement, this version of it, has been so toxic and so destructive. And you have women that fell for it and got divorced and are miserable. And the old saying of single women keep women single is true for a reason. I wish it weren't. But, you know, they start talking to their happily married coworker or friend or whatever, start filling their heads with all this nonsense of how strong and empowering it is to leave your husband, and even if he's the good guy, and go find something better. So many times it ends up crashing and burning in spectacular fashion. And it's a shame, because what was strong and beautiful got taken for granted and now is gone. I don't wish that on anybody. And I feel bad for those who are susceptible enough to fall for it. You know, and the same can go for men too. You can have single guys saying, oh, you know, what are you doing with her? She's a drag on you. She's negative. You can go out and, you know, get all these hot younger girls and all this nonsense. Anybody who does that, no matter what they claim, those people aren't your friends. And you should recognize that and just say, you know what? I'm good. I think we need space. I love my partner. I want to be with them. If you can't respect that, then there's no place for you here. Unfortunately, not enough people do that these days. But no matter what the outside influencing factors are, you've got to be strong enough to withstand the temptation of the possibility of getting something better. Because most times it doesn't pan out. As always, everyone, I see you all for who you really are, and I truly do love you all for it. If you've got somebody special and you have a family, do everything in your power to protect it and take care of each other at all costs. I'll see you again in the next one. Have a great day.